So each and everything, whether it be for our clients or our employees or the deliverables we have, are informed in some way by our core values.
Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to the Daily List Report. Thank you for coming back and watching again today. Today, we've got a really exciting show. We've got a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. His name is Stephen Kagawa. He is the CEO of the Pacific Bridge Companies. He's written a brand new book that's coming out in February. We'll put the links below. It's called Aloha Financial Advising, Doing Good to Do Better for your clients and yourself. And he's got a lot of really great strategies and tips and techniques for how to be successful in your business. As a background, a couple points of background. One is that he's a consistent and qualifying and lifetime member of the top of table of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is a really prestigious organization in the financial services world. And he's just an all-around good guy. He's built a really great company. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring him on. We're going to talk a little bit about his book, but more importantly, why he wrote the book, the values behind the book, and how it's going to help you in your real estate business every single day. So without further ado, Stephen, welcome to the Daily List Report.
Thanks a lot, Randy, and hello all you entrepreneurs, agent entrepreneurs.
That's right. And Stephen, we call them agentpreneurs because as a real estate agent, you have to do a little bit of everything. You have to be good at finance and marketing and negotiation, and you have to be organized, and it's a really tough job. And I know that for a lot of financial advisors who have to sort of, eat what they kill, so to speak, you also have to be good at a lot of different things, and that's a real challenge. So, Stephen, I know that getting to know you as you run your business, you base it on these core values, right? So I want to start there before we get into why you wrote the book or what the book is about or, what our agentpreneurs can take away from it. But you built your business around these core values, and these are Hawaiian words. But I want you to talk a little bit about the importance of building a business on core values. And then let's talk a little bit about what your core values are, because I think it's indicative of how you run your company, and I think it will inspire our agentpreneurs to maybe come up with their own core values.
Yeah, I think real estate is very, very much similar to what we do in financial planning. When I got started, it was about life insurance. It's about as far removed from real estate as it gets, right? Unless you're covering the mortgage or whatever it is. But in reality, when we're talking about financial services, we're just talking about different forms of money, right? Different forms of money that are sort of at the ready for people, when they need it, right? And real estate's a perfect example of that different form of money. So actually, in our firm, real estate's extremely important. It's one of our core companies, actually, is Pacific Bridge Real Estate. We don't do real estate. We leave that up to you guys. You guys are the experts at it. We're just there to help engage because our organization is about bringing other specialists from all over the financial planning spectrum into the room to help those that really need it, right? They might be coming from different countries and so on and so forth. And because of that, they're going to need the expertise that you might have because you may be the best in, let's say, condos in West LA or something like that.
Sure.
And they might be looking for that. And so we connect them. And because our business is international and global financial navigation, it's really about bringing the best in class like you to the foray to work with us to help these people with their financial, needs relative to how they see life fulfilled. But again, that's a sort of long intro, but bottom line is core values. Really, I didn't really purposely put it into my business until more recently when I realized that was what was bringing happiness to my business. For us in the financial services arena, and I think real estate is very similar, very few end up succeeding. We start off with 100 advisors, and 3 years later, only 14 are left, are still doing what they intended to do, and are happy. How many of that number of 14 or that 14% is happy? I don't see very many people that happy, and I realized that even myself along my journey, there was a difference in what I focused in on and what my life focused from, right? That really drove my happiness. And ultimately, that is the most important thing, right? Our pursuit of happiness and being happy, because that changes the way we look at our work, that changes the way people look at us in our work. So the core values, really, to answer that question, Randy, really I realized was the most important thing, because it's what I live for. It's what I believe in. It doesn't matter whether it's business or personal, whatever. It's what floats my boat. And so if I could connect that, if I could take those things that I really believed in, right, and inform my business with it, everything that I did, and everything I didn't do was driven by that and shaped by that, that my life would be happier, right? Because it's based upon what I truly believe in.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Stephen. I think that's really great advice. And, let's talk about let's be specific here for just a moment, right? Your core values for yourself, which I appreciate that distinction, and the business are Mahalo, Aloha, Ohana, Pono, and Imua. And, maybe we can talk briefly about, what those things mean, at least in a couple words. But it's awesome because that anchors every decision that you make. And ultimately, I think, as you said, it's what floats your boat, right? It's what's going to be the source of your happiness. So what do those words mean, Stephen?
Yeah, so just real quickly, aloha. I mean, a lot of us hear aloha. Aloha means a lot of things. You can use it for a lot of different situations, but the one we choose to, the definition we choose to embrace, or I choose to embrace, is love. Right, to live our lives with love, and to look at people with love, and that sometimes means, you might not agree with them, you might find things disagreeable, in fact, but really, for us to be able to engage with people, we really need to understand and appreciate those in front of us, and to do that, sometimes we have to get our biases out of the way, right? We're listening to people that have a different way of thinking. So aloha is love. Second word that you said, I think, was mahalo. Mahalo is to live life with gratitude. Mahalo meaning thank you. And, I love the word mahalo because I know that everything that I am, right, is something that I should be grateful for. It may be wrapped in oppression. My father used to say, "I'm giving you the gift of oppression," yeah, thanks, Dad. And honestly speaking, you think about the best lessons we've learned in our lives, right? I certainly, for myself, have been the times that I've fell on my face, right, landed flat on my face,
Absolutely.
and fortunately failed forward, right, learned from it, grew from it. Thankful because I did. The whole situation going on right now in the world, the pandemic that happened, I learned so much in this past year. Yeah, there's been a lot of travesty. I'm not happy about those things. But I learned so much, and I'm so thankful. I'm full of mahalo for that. Pono is righteousness. To do things for the right reasons, not because it's convenient, not because it's profit at that moment, not but because it's right, because it's the right thing to do. Pono, it's interesting. What do we do when no one's watching? And I guess that's the most important thing. That's left me much more fulfilled, right, by focusing in on doing the right things right. Imua. Imua is just going forward. I love the word Imua because it's the one that when I fall flat on my face, I know, hey, man, I just learned a lot of stuff. Mahalo. I'm full of gratitude with that. I've been given some aloha, and I really need to take that and forge forward, right? Integrate it into my life, learn from it, right? Discover something new, something that makes me better, makes me one step closer to the version of myself that I'd like to find one day. And then finally, Ohana. Ohana is, thank you to Disney and Lilo and Stitch, right? It's all about family. And when it really comes down to it, isn't it nice if you think of the world as your family? And I look at it that way, an extension of me. All of you out there could be an extension of what we do. You could be an extension of us. I could be an extension of you if we just held hands together. If we just understood and appreciated one another, right? We had the mahalo for one another, to gratitude, to learn about one another, to have the aloha, to share the things that we know, to that abundance that comes because of the relationship that we have with one another as family, as Ohana. So we're always seeking to take care of the people that we serve, like our family. And sometimes that means also, confronting bitter truth, right? And so that we can move forward, so that we can go ahead and tackle the bigger stuff and get to a better place. And so those are the values, Aloha, Mahalo, Pono, Imua, and Ohana that we live by.
I love that, Stephen. It's great. And I see it embodied in how you operate your business, and everybody in the company knows these, and every new recruit knows these, and that's great, right? It has to be pervasive. You said something earlier, Stephen, that I just want to react to real quick. I've talked about this ad nauseum probably, but the best book I read in 2020 was The 9 Lies About Work. And one of the lies that they talk about is this idea of quote unquote work-life balance. And they said that basically balance is a fallacy. We are always in some state of imbalance, and so the pursuit of imbalance is a fool's errand. Rather, what you should pursue is love in your work. And I think that's the difference. And I know that you have that where you are. I know I have that every single day. And it also reminds me of one other thought, which is Camille Rose, she's a peak performance coach. She's been on the show a lot. We did a 5-part series. And one thing that she talked about, she said, you cannot be both grateful and fearful at the same time. And I see that with you, Stephen. You talked about that, right? When you're in a state of gratitude, you can't be fearful at the same time. And I think that's a pretty amazing place to be. Stephen, just to stick on the core values for one more moment, it's one thing to come up with these core values, right? It's another thing to inculcate the core values into your broader team. And it's yet another thing to live these core values. So can you talk a little bit about maybe how once you came up with these, you got everybody in the company to sort of rally behind them and understand what they are?
Yeah, I don't know that, we all understand it the same way. And it's not necessarily that important that we do, because we all have our own unique way of seeing things. And by the way, that 5-part series is amazing and brilliance. So is really reflected in it, and what great comments to make. Thank you for saying that, because I do believe that it is, especially that, when you can't have gratitude and be fearful at the same time. Absolutely the truth. And one of the huge value propositions, especially when you're aspiring, right? When you're making your way forward, because we're always fearful. We want to perform, and we want to do this, and we want to do that. And we realize that at the end of the day, when you finally do make it, that we make it because really we're just being ourselves, right? And we're being honest and caring and loving and appreciating the differences of others and so on and so forth. So, I really think that's an important thing. Now, I probably missed the point. What was your question? What specifically was your question?
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. No, my question was, when you come up with these values, right? I guess what other ways are the values sort of shared with the team, lived by the team? I know you guys give maybe awards around them, right? There's some tactical things that you do to help make sure they're embodied in the team.
Yeah, I think that most of you guys are like me out there, right? There's only so much I can do, right? And there's certain things that I shouldn't do, right? So I've got to go to the 4Ds. What am I going to do? What am I going to delegate, right? What am I going to defer? What am I going to destroy? And the most important thing, obviously, is delegate. Who can I pass things to and through that'll do it better than me? Extension of me and what I, as a leader, intend to have happen at the same time, delivered by people that are better equipped to deliver it than me. And that's pretty much everybody, that's out there to some extent. And so I really have great benefit to that. So for me, sharing what I believe in seems natural, to my team, because I do know that they're an extension of me, right? So if they're an extension of me, I've got to share me with them. And so I do my best to do that, to sort of force the dialogue of what these core values mean. And all of us go around the room, and every day for a few minutes, every day, we take a pause in the action and we huddle. We call it the daily huddle. I learned it from Cameron Harold, who does his huddle a little differently. Sort of his is about rallying the troops and taking your break and getting that brain, reset, for mindset in the proper place. And it really does do all those things. I just decided to focus on one of the core values each and every day. And we go around, everyone just goes and shares, something that they want to mention to somebody. Let's say on Mondays is a Mahalo Monday. So it's gratitude on Monday. And so everyone's sharing with each other, what they're thankful for. And basically, and usually it's to one another. And that's just I think a fantastic way to remind us. And we do that in everything we do. As we look at how we build an effort, a practice, we look at those core values again. Are we sharing, aloha? Are we being of aloha? Are we listening to people? Right. Are we giving them, are they the ones first in line? Is the spotlight on them? Are we doing it for them? Are we showing our gratitude, right? Is this the right thing for us to do, right? And these are challenging things because there's a balance, right? Profit is an issue. You got to make some money to continue to pay the bills, right? To grow and so on and so forth. And we don't want to have these things get in the way. And sometimes they do. And yet, when you go back to your core values, it becomes really easy. What would I do for me? What would I do for the people I love the most? And that's really what's gonna make things happen. That's what's gonna build a relationship of truth, of care. And we do that right from the start with each and every one of our employees. So even in our career building, so we hire them over, the focus is on, who they want to be when they grow up, right? What do they want to do? And that question is asked constantly because it's also about their lives, right? Are they living their life with aloha? Are they of gratitude, of mahalo in what they're doing in their role? And so each and everything, whether it be for our clients or our employees or the deliverables we have, are informed in some way by our core values. And when we go astray, it's always going back to core values. Or, of course, we also have guiding principles for our companies, but don't get those confused because they are uniquely different, one from the other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well said, Stephen. I love that. And I would encourage all of you watching right now to take the time to do this, to define what your core values are, and then further to make sure that you inculcate them into the culture of your business, because it's going to define who you are and how you operate. Stephen, at the end of the day, right, the book that you wrote is basically, this is the premise, right? And correct me if I'm off here. If we serve our customers well, we will ultimately be the beneficiary of that. And further, that in service of our customers, we're playing the long game, not the short game, right? So oftentimes we may be trading short-term profit, for example, right, for a long-term relationship that ultimately, if our focus is to serve the needs of our clients, then we are going to win. Is that, in essence, the premise of the book?
Yeah, I think, you've really dumbed it down perfectly. Like we could have done it in 2 paragraphs and maybe done a poem instead.
A haiku.
Yeah, I could have done a haiku and everyone would have got it, and no one would have to suffer through reading through my poor.
Oh, stop it.
But I tell you that it really is that, right? If you really think about it, and we think about the long game, I think is what you said. And you don't worry about that immediate gratification. That the immediate gratification to you is living by your values, having the day that you want to have, enjoying the moment with this person that you just got to meet. What a glorious thing it could be. Imagine not chasing to sell or to gather assets, right, that you can sell. Instead, what if you just went and gathered people and you went out there and asked them, hey, tell me, Randy, what's important about, I know you're not looking for a home or anything like that, but if you were, what would it be like? What's important about where it's at? A number of rooms, where it's sitting at, the driveway, the backyard, the experience that happens, and so on and so forth. And you discovered what was really important to this person that you just met. And this person goes on and talks about their dream home, right? And you go back to your office and you go, I got some time. I'll just go research to see. I talked to 6 people that told me all these things about what they would be excited about, what would make them super happy. They're not looking for, an asset or a home or whatever, but I just want to show them that, to see whether or not my skills, right, can match up with what's important to them. And of course, if I call them up, right, hey, Randy, I know you're not looking for anything, but I just loved hearing your story and fascinated with it. I just want to make sure that I kind of got it in my mind. Let's go just check out this house, and we go up there and see it. And if all I was doing was that, think about it. Think about the dynamic that occurs. Think about the relationship that I build, and the probability is I'm going to sell some things too,
Yes.
and to me, it's just having fun. It's enjoying the work that you do. It's bringing the value out of yourself because you're being yourself. And I think that's probably for me, that was the biggest aha, in my life, realizing that what I had inside of me, living for that and living by that is going to bring me happiness, and that happiness spreads to others. And it's a circle that's just a beautiful thing.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Stephen. You kind of, maybe touched a little bit on my next question, right? Which is, oftentimes when we get into the day-to-day, right, we make a lot of assumptions. In psychology, these are these shortcuts, these heuristics, right? We don't have to think about how to put the brake or the gas on the car, right? If we had to think about everything, then we'd be in big, big trouble. But we do this in business too, right? Where you can imagine an agent who's going into a listing presentation going, oh, it's another seller who wants to sell their house. I know I could do this in my sleep, no big deal. And they make a lot of assumptions about what that seller wants. So talk a little bit about how preparing for a client meeting, you can sort of take a step back, right? Challenge the assumptions and make sure that you're getting to the heart of what your customer actually needs.
Yeah, I was trained, to be prepared for every meeting, and I would say yes, you should be prepared for every meeting. And I used to, they used to say, well, here's the situation, and somebody else is telling me, right, and I'm taking all the notes, and I'm working hours and hours to prepare, and I have a presentation that I'm going to go ahead and give. And, the way I prepare these days is a little different, right? Or I should say it's a lot different. I stop and pause and give mahalo. I have gratitude. I get a chance to meet Randy today. I get a chance to meet someone who someone else thought was awesome, to introduce into my life. And I get a chance to be of potential help to them. And I don't know what that is. And so I should never assume, no matter what anyone says around me, go and meet this person genuinely, and that's really how I start. And that preparation begins with reminding myself that that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to go and sell anything. I'm not here to go and be the answer to all. I'm here to meet this awesome person who may need my help, who I may be able to serve in some way, and so that's how I get started. And it's a tough thing. That was a really tough transition for me to let go of my paper and pencil, let go of all that great stuff, all the analytics, and so on and so forth, to convince somebody to be with me. I realized the most important thing I could do was to understand what was important to them. Is there something of real value? Is there something that they really care about, that they want to make happen, that not only they live for, they might die for. And usually that comes to the things that, that's driving whatever it might be. Certainly homes, your house or your business and your building are a perfect reflection of those kinds of things that are of importance. And so sitting there and listening to them, asking the questions, and asking as many questions as I can to really create a vivid picture of what that hope is, helps me connect in ways that I could never do by preparing something ahead of time. What prepares me is hearing from them and hearing as much as I can about what they really want. That prepares me to help them, in terms of the next steps and so on and so forth. So the preparation has changed to reminding myself that as long as I'm fully present, right, and I'm there remembering to be full of mahalo, right, to share my aloha, and listen, I have a great chance to be of value.
Wow, that's beautifully said, Stephen. Actually, beautifully said. And I think that's a great way for everyone watching right now to approach these conversations. And just to recap, there's a couple things that makes me think about, or that you stated here. One is just being genuine, just being who you are. And two is listening. I've talked about this before on the show, but if I'm doing like let's say a user research call, or I'm talking to somebody because I want to learn something so that we can build a better product or offer a better service, what I used to do was I actually used to use a service that measured talk time. So at the end of the call, I can actually see how much I talked versus how much they talked. And I tried to keep it below 15% as an accountability check to make sure that I was listening more than I was talking. And so for those of you watching, if you suffer from this, if you know that you're somebody who just talks a lot, then it's actually, find a way to put a check in place, because what you're really there to do is to listen. And Stephen, as you said, is to be present, to be genuine, because you want to understand their needs and recognize that your assumptions are probably wrong to some degree. Whether that's big or small, you'll find out. But if you go in with that mindset, you're going to come out in a much better place. Stephen, there's one more topic I wanted to touch on because I think you have a great perspective on this, and that is referrals. So I think that broadly speaking, real estate agents are terrible at asking for referrals. They receive referrals, and they oftentimes get them if they do a good job, but they're not purposeful about referrals. And in your book, you talk about sort of a strategy for this that I think is really compelling and interesting. So I'd like you to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Randy. I mean, it's probably the one thing that really did change my life. And, I got to tell you that I didn't know how to build my business when I got started. Maybe, you have the same sort of feeling. I'm third generation in the business, and I didn't want to come to the business. I'm from Hawaii. Imagine third generation in Hawaii, right? My father was in the business. My uncle was in the business. My auntie was in the business. My brother was in the business before me. How big is Hawaii? I mean, that they probably covered all of Hawaii, but then after that, every agent was my auntie and uncle, So when I got in the business, there was no way I had to go out and do direct mail and stuff like that. That's years ago, long before some of you were born. So I had to figure it out a different way. But fortunately, to your point, just to cut to the chase, I realized that the most important way to get introductions is to ask for them, right? And you all know this, it's a referral. And to your point, yeah, referrals are the key point, but it's not just referrals, right? Because it's the kind of referral that you receive. And so I had to think about it. After a while, I started, because I was asking referrals, I was getting these different kinds of people, and I realized that, you get what you ask for. So why not ask for something you really want? And I remember a bunch of advisors in the room laughing at me, thinking I was so stupid that I was going to do this. And I really seriously thought about it. I can't stand this kind of person. I want to talk to people that I respect. I want to talk to people that are bigger than me. That have that care about their families. Because I started to think about my best clients. You think about your own best clients, right? Yeah. Or your best prospects, whatever you want to call it, right? But I think clients is what you want to do, or maybe ultimately the kind of client you really want. And then I took that and I started to define it. And I realized it wasn't the person looking for a house, right? It wasn't the person getting married. It wasn't the person having kids. It wasn't about dumping their assets because they're getting ready for inheritance taxes, estate planning, and all that kind of stuff, right? It wasn't those things. It was that they cared about their families, right? They cared about those that they were depend upon them. They cared about their businesses. There was something else, like maybe your house. You care about, the kind of home that's there, for your children or whatever it might be. And I realized that those are the most important things, characteristics. I realized I love people of integrity, people that when they said they were going to do something would do exactly the thing that they said they're going to do, exactly the way they say they're going to do it. And I love that, right? Mm-hmm. People of integrity, people who cared about their families and those that depend upon them. And I realized that those were the two major things I needed to ask for. But the third thing was I wanted to ask people who reflected that. When I met them and I helped them, that I would ask them for the referrals. I don't need to ask for referrals for people that I didn't enjoy. I want to ask for referrals for the people that I did enjoy. And I would ask them for people like them. So, Randy, Randy would complete we'd finish his plan. And Dr. Robert Cialdini said, and he's a man of, if you never read his books, read it. He's awesome. You talk about great books. He's a great writer. He's on influence. He's not going to float your boat in terms of best writer, kind of thing. But the information, he is a great writer, though, the information is just priceless. And he talks about moments of influential power. What are those times that are the most meaningful moments? And one of the most powerful of all is reciprocation, right? Another is gratitude. And those two things come together when somebody says, I helped with Randy with his family's financial plan. And what does he say at the end? He says, thank you. And what do I normally say at the end of that? I say, you're welcome, no worries, whatever, I blew the most awesome moment of influential power because he's saying to me, thank you, mahalo, right? I'm full of gratitude. What can I do for you? Reciprocity, right? And so these days I say instead, when they say thank you, I say, you're welcome. And I've got to tell you how much I enjoyed working with you, Randy. People like you really are why I do what I do. You care about your family and those that depend on you. You truly love. You talk about your business and the reasons why you do your business, and it's just mind-blowing and inspiring. You do what you say you're going to do exactly the way you say you're going to do it. I'd love to meet people like you. People like you make my business really, really worthwhile. So who do you know that you respect who's like that? Who really cares about their family and those that depend upon them, and also at the same time, really do what they say they're going to do exactly the way they say they do it. People like you, Randy. And I shut up. There's a lot of things that are really awesome about this. Number one, right? How does Randy feel at that moment? Awesome. He feels awesome. Who is he thinking about? He's not thinking about the person looking for real estate. He's not thinking about the next, the person having a baby, like I said before, right? He's thinking of someone that he respects, that's of that nature. I don't know what your parameters may be, but those are mine. And I just started to do that. And then what I realized was that people would introduce me to people that were even bigger than them. And that's awesome. So how do I start my day when I meet this person? Think about it, right? I'm full of mahalo, right? I'm so grateful because I get to meet a person that's Randy thinks is great. Now I think of the world of Randy. So when I get to meet somebody that Randy thinks the world of, what an awesome moment for me. So it doesn't matter what happens in the business. I'm going to meet an awesome person. I'm going to have a great day, right? So that's very selfish to me, and that's awesome, right? So I come in, and what's the other thing that happens? Well, I get to say, hey, Randy. So Randy introduced me to John. And so I'm there with John. I say, John, in the meeting for the first time, John, I've been anxious to meet you. And the reason why is very simple. I don't know how you feel about Randy, but, I think the world of Randy, and we're talking about people that he thinks the world of. I was asking him, who he knows who, loves their family and does what they say they're going to do, exactly the way they say they're going to do it. People that they hold, that Randy holds in highest esteem. And the first person he mentioned, John, was you. I mean, think about that moment. That's my opening comment. You think you might want to listen to what I've got to say. You think that there might be some click of good there. And how's he thinking of Randy right now? Right? Of course, I just helped elevate their relationship. Right. As long as I don't screw it up, right?
Right.
But I start off, so it starts off with a great day, great way to open your day. But it also helps you end your day well, right? Asking for that referral, making someone feel good. And at the same time, opening the next day, right, with your appointment, making someone feel good. And at the end of the day, if we really focused on them, I've genuinely focused on them, right, with all my heart, right, with my aloha, with my mahalo, with my pono, right, prepared to Imua, to go forward, to help them move forward, to help them with Ohana, to help them with family, right? How much better off am I feeling for that day, am I for that day, and in my life, and in my business, right? So it's so selfish to be this way, in such a great way. And so I really encourage each and every one of you to think about what are the things that float your boat, right? What are the things that make you happy and get you excited, and ask for it, because you'll be surprised you'll get it.
I love that, Stephen. See, you should be doing this show. That was amazing. Thank you, Stephen, for sharing that. Man, that was really good. I love that so much because, like you said, no matter what happens, you've met amazing people that are of like mind, that have values that you respect, that you hold near and dear to yourself, and no bad can come of that, right? Like there's no bad outcome from that. So I think that's tremendous advice. Stephen, is there anything else I missed that you wanted to share with all of our agentpreneurs today?
No, I'm glad you got agentpreneurs. I got to remember that agentpreneurs. That's awesome. No, I got to
Yes.
tell you, if you really are an agentpreneur, then it's your life. Have a vision, right? That to make this world a better place, and have a mission to ensure that you will, and live that with your core values. Because if you do that, you don't the discrepancy or that difference between work and play. That line is gone. It's all play, right? It's all fun, even though it's hard work. We know we're going to do the hard work anyway. Why not have fun doing it? And so I think that, if for all of you, whatever your core values are, you may not share mine. If you don't have any, you're not thinking of anything, take mine, right? Borrow them and use them because I tell you, it'll change your life. It'll change your whole experience. It'll change the way that your dynamic between those that you work with, those that you work for, and yourself. And I got to tell you, I wish you all all of you find that happiness that I found whenever I'm on that path with those that I serve.
Beautifully said, Stephen. Stephen, thank you so much for joining today. Why don't you give a farewell to all of our agentpreneurs out there?
Yeah, mahalo, aloha to all of you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Stephen. I hope to have you back on real soon.
I hope to be back. Thanks.
All right. Well, there you have it. Gosh, really great to have Stephen on the show today. I hope you guys were paying close attention to all of that. Again, his book, the link is below. Buy it right now. It's Aloha Financial Advising. All of these principles, all of these tactics are in there. I love these core values, and he's offered them to you. So if you don't have any and these resonated with you, take them, right? And, aloha, mahalo, pono, ohana, and imua. And, the shorthand for that is love, gratitude, righteousness, treating others like family, and growing forward. I can't imagine a better way to operate a business or a life. And, his feedback and thoughts on referrals, that's some masterful stuff. And I like that. And what an amazing way, as he talks about a lot, you're serving your customers and you're also serving yourself. And that's a win-win. And I can't imagine a better place to be. So that's the show for today. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell so you're notified of all future episodes and you don't miss amazing guests like Stephen. Until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy. We'll see you soon.